And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Happy Wednesday to all those who celebrate. How's it going over there, Ben? Doing all right?
Doing well. How are you?
You're adjusting your microphone there.
Didn't have a cover on my mic.
I see. I'm just disappointed in the Czech Republic. That's
we'll
all.
see. This is probably, they're playing better than I expected. Nice they were up 2-1, but yeah, it's 2-2. Though I will admit, I just want to see USA-Canada, and I don't want to see it in the bronze medal game.
I don't want to see Canada at all. In fact, I'm debating turning it off now.
Okay, because it's 2-2. You're afraid they're going to win, and it's going to be too painful to watch.
I'm not cheering for Canada.
They are really teeing off right now on the Czech. So we'll see.
Yeah. Ben, I had
still 2-2, but it's been a lot of defense from the Czech lately.
I say Wednesday to all those who celebrate because today the Granite School District went back to school, and it was funny. I got a complaint this morning that really frustrated me. And to the point where I said, I absolutely don't want to hear it in a very firm voice. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
My 8-year-old, who did not go to school all of last week and has had 2 days off this week, said, I don't want to go to school. And I said, nope, I do not want to hear that. Absolutely not. Not this morning. You can complain about other things. You cannot complain about going to school.
After
not
11 days off?
Yeah.
For them? Yeah.
What'd they have yesterday off for?
I don't know.
Teacher preparation day. So it was like mid-quarter. So they had President's Day, and then they have like a day for teacher prep to come back. And they had last Friday off as well, but Jake was out of town. So it's been a 5-day weekend for the kids of the Granite School District. Yeah, I get it.
Didn't want to hear that complaint. You can complain about breakfast, complain about whatever, but you're going to go to school and you're going to like it. They had last Friday off too.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you guys picked a good week to go out of town. I mean, you could have just gone later last week. Missed the All-Star game.
She could have missed no school.
Yeah, could have missed no school.
The whole cruise in, no problem.
Yeah, they had 5 days off. Nice.
For them.
Yeah, it was great for them.
For them. Oh, man. All right. Well, you doing all right? Your kids are back in school, so
they're back today as well.
That makes you happy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because they're getting educated, of course.
I'm pro-school. They're not, but I am. My son's certainly not, but yeah.
Christian's going to raise his kid anti-school.
Yeah, homeschool.
No, not just homeschool, but no, like roaming the neighborhood wild.
Stick kids. I call those kids stick kids. The kid that you see walking around the street, and for some reason they always have a stick in their hand. And they're just like hitting fences or like hitting the tops of flowers off. They're just like stick kids. I don't know where their parents are. And I know what type of people they grow into, but it's not their fault because they're stick kids, because their parents gave them a stick instead of an education. So keep an eye on stick kids. They're around.
Yeah, that's the direction Christian's going to go.
Yeah. Well, Christian was probably a stick kid.
They changed the world.
Hope they do something.
Who was it? What president carry a big stick when that old Teddy Roosevelt?
Teddy, yeah. Different type of stick.
Well,
those kids don't speak softly. They are loud and they carry sticks. It's a bad combo.
These just feral kids that
roam
the neighborhood.
Feral,
do you have a lot of those?
Children. I've just seen enough of them in my life to know who they are. Yeah. I mean,
Sounds
they're
like
easy to identify.
To
yeah, they're easy to identify. They have huge sticks. It's like a branch of some kind or some pole that they have found. It's like, where did you get that and why do you have it? And who or what are you going to hit next?
We don't have many feral children in my neighborhood, although
Well, that's the thing. It's not an income related thing. There are wealthy stick kids. There are middle class stick kids. Stick kids can come out of anywhere.
We do have a family that lives around the corner, and I love this. This is funny. They have a baby, 2-year-old, whatever, still takes a nap, and the older sister is instructed to leave the house for the duration of the nap, which is funny. So she'll come knock on our door and say hi. Yeah,
she's the loud kid.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like you got to be out.
Yeah, you can't
of the structure of the home during the nap.
Okay, I like that.
But she doesn't often have a stick, I've found.
Okay.
So I don't
Different
know if
animal altogether.
I don't know if she qualifies.
Different creature.
For what you're getting to there. But yeah, Christian, no education, huh?
Yeah, we'll see. I got a while to think about it.
Yeah, they'll teach themselves.
Yeah, right. I wonder what stick kids were like as babies.
I'd like to think everyone starts from square one.
They're
equally.
the kids that are in the jumper 24/7.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, they're in the
all energy
the
all the time.
bouncing thing 24/7. Yeah, right. They don't get out to eat. They don't they sleep in there. The whole thing.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm getting at?
Uh-huh.
All right. So there you go, Christian. There's your parenting
How to identify an early stick kid.
lesson for the day.
Yeah.
Ben, it is I go out of town and you get the biggest news week of the year.
Uh-huh.
This week, total desert.
A little bit of a desert.
I mean, BYU Arizona is a fun matchup and probably the biggest story
Yeah, for sure.
of the day, but it's still regular season college basketball, which
I also don't think
is less than compelling in my opinion.
I'm not sure I'd even qualify this as like a measuring stick game for BYU. This is it's one of the best teams in college basketball. They were the best team until the last week when they've lost a couple of times now. Back-to-back losses.
Well, they've
Christian
got
tells us.
injuries, right? They've got 2 key injuries. They're beat up too.
And the nice thing is, you don't actually have to face this team in the first or second round of the NCAA tournament. This is not who BYU, likely, barring an absolute collapse down the stretch. I still think BYU is probably looking at a 4 or a 5 seed. It seems like that's where a lot of the bracketology has them. Meaning, you're not running into these teams until you get to the Elite 8 or the Sweet 16. So your first weekend, at least, you're probably not having to deal too much with the elite teams. So the measuring stick games for BYU are not Arizona. I think Iowa State, they still have to play coming up maybe next.
Their schedule is brutal.
Yeah. But it's going to be some
and
of these
Texas
more,
Tech still too.
These middle-tier teams that I think BYU is going to have to make sure that they measure up well against. And then maybe we reset our expectations a little bit going into the Big 12 tournament or through the Big 12 tournament of what should be expected for BYU to have a quote-unquote successful run.
Yeah, I think both Arizona and BYU are both trying to, I don't know, what's the metaphor, steady the ship?
Yeah.
So I don't think this game actually tells a lot about either team other than it's going to be a process to figure out how they're going to proceed and win basketball games, which is fascinating, certainly in BYU's case. I think they're more than capable of it because college basketball in general is about top-end talent, and BYU's got really good players still at the top of their roster.
I like their schedule the rest of the way, in all honesty, and it's brutal, no question about it. But, you go Arizona tonight. You go Saturday at home against Iowa State, which is, again, just very tough. These 3 games in the middle before they close the season at Texas Tech, who's the top 15 team in the country, they're home against Central Florida next Tuesday. They're at West Virginia and at Cincinnati, which are very much middle-class Big 12 teams. Let me see how you do against those teams. Those are still borderline or likely conference tournament teams, or not conference tournament, NCAA tournament teams. How do you play against them? Because that might be a better read for what kind of a run you can make. Well,
Texas Tech is not quite as formidable, unfortunately, because of the injury to JT Toppin.
Yeah.
Last night against Arizona State. So that obviously is going to severely impact them. I have not. Have you, Christian, seen the specifics on that injury yet? But it looked serious.
Yeah. It said serious leg injury. It's the last I've seen from USA Today.
So we will not. I would guess by that be seeing him for the rest of the year, unfortunately, which is terrible.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, BYU has some winnable games. It's hard. They're going to have to figure it out. Nobody's going to. That's what kind of I was trying to get at yesterday is, in the grand scheme of things, nobody is going to adjust anything or feel bad for you, or it is going to be what it is. You can talk to Tim Lacombe about what it was like to go into the NCAA tournament without Brandon Davies, and it was a daunting task, but they still figured out a way to get to the Sweet 16, and there's always the what if, but that's nothing. What if is worth nothing. You get as far as you're going to get. And BYU still has the opportunity, I think, to win a couple of games in the NCAA tournament, depending on, matchups and all that sort of thing, which makes that tournament wild, but got to get there first.
I'm really curious how we're going to reflect on AJ Dybantsa's season. And now that can still be determined. If he pushes them to the Final Four, it's, the best of both worlds. But AJ has already locked up a top 3 draft pick. He's had a fabulous season statistically, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 53% from the floor, 36% from 3. defense has been left a lot, I think, on the floor. He could have been better on that side of the floor, and we'll see if he picks that up late in the season when it really starts to matter because, as we've said a lot, the regular season of college basketball really doesn't matter to most players, and when you're going to be a top likely to, potentially number 1, and at worst top 3 overall pick, playing defense in November and December is not necessarily anybody's highest priority. So I'll be curious how we review and remember AJ Dybantsa's season because statistically it's been everything you've wanted. Attention-wise, BYU's been on TV a lot. They maybe don't have these signature wins that some fans had hoped for. Maybe on the road at Baylor has been their best so far. But we'll see, and there's obviously room to pick some of those up still. But he's done everything that was expected. Can you do more than that and make it truly, one of the more memorable seasons in BYU history? Certainly the most memorable since Jimmer.
I think he'll be remembered as a great player.
Yeah,
regardless.
absolutely. Yeah, no question. He's punched that ticket. He probably
Yeah.
punched that ticket before he stepped on the floor.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess it's all gravy, honestly. I mean, especially now that you have a little adversity. I mean, it's the possibility for a great story. But it could be a letdown. Is that what I mean? If they lose first round of the tournament, is somehow he going to be viewed as a disappointment?
I don't think so.
I don't either. Is that what you were alluding to?
No, honestly, I'm curious. BYU has a weird relationship with the NBA in general. Most of its best players historically have been jokes in the NBA or busts. Sean Bradley had a great NBA career, but was a bit of a joke. He was the guy who got dunked on a lot, and that's not his fault. Again, he played for a decade plus and made $80 million, however much he made. Rafa Araujo was a huge bust. Jimmer is one of the great busts of all time. There are just not a lot of, Kyle Collinsworth played a little while, but they don't have this great run of NBA players. So AJ is going to punch that ticket and have success there. Utah has a lot of very good NBA players historically. It's kind of the only thing they've been able to hang their hat on over the last 20 years. The best thing that's happened since Andrew Bogut, and Andrew Bogut was the number 1 overall pick, but the best thing has been that Kuzma made it and Pirtle made it and DeLon Wright made it, and they've had some success there. Very little actually on the court. BYU hasn't needed that as much, but they would like it, and AJ's going to be a huge name in the NBA for a long time. I don't know if he's Andrew Wiggins. I don't know if he's Pascal Siakam. I don't know if he's, a superstar. I don't know if he's Kevin Durant. We will have to see. He's still got to write that story. But I'll be curious how that impacts how we view his time at BYU.
I don't know if NBA,
because that paints a lot.
I don't think NBA legacy really means anything. I mean, why did he pick BYU? The rules have changed, so it's a different world now. So
absolutely.
If you're telling me that BYU back in the day when they weren't cheating, and not that they are now, but they certainly weren't then, wasn't getting top-end talent, you don't say, to come to a Mormon school in Provo?
Right.
What a shock. And now the rules are different, so they're getting different players. AJ Dybantsa doesn't even consider BYU in 1985 or 1988 or 1990. So I honestly don't think one has to do with the other. Andrew Bogut was the number 1 pick in 2004, has nothing to do with Jakob Pirtle in the mid-teens. And what happened to the gap between then? It just doesn't – I don't think it's connected. I don't think – Bronco Mendenhall forever downplayed the NFL. He said, you're not coming to BYU. That's not the priority or whatever. And then everybody said he had this great awakening with Ziggy Ansah. Well, Ziggy Ansah didn't beget a bunch of Fred Warners.
Sure, of course, no, it did
Bronco just changed his messaging to, yes, getting you into the NFL is a priority. It wasn't, they're not related, in my opinion. I don't think AJ Dybantsa's success is going to lead to BYU automatically getting the next great recruit. I don't think, a lot of people sold the Kentucky thing. Like, you come to Kentucky,
right, exactly.
look at John Calipari's record. John Calipari was just buying all of the best players. It wasn't some NBA legacy that Kentucky had. He just bought all the best players.
But they did get that reputation, whether it was real or not. They did have that reputation.
Then there were plenty of Kentucky Wildcats that came into the NBA and were hot garbage.
There were.
See Enes Kanter.
Sure.
Just as many as they were good. I mean, the Jazz fell for it by drafting Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles, just because he went to Kentucky, was not that.
Absolutely.
So I don't buy into that. Mike Doliak's success in the NBA had nothing to do with Andrew Bogut's. Andrew Bogut did not come to Utah for Mike Doliak. It's not they're not linked. Now, if you're trying to tell me that Utah had its best teams when it found NBA players, I would say, wow, that's shocking. But it's not related to the other versions of it. BYU couldn't get AJ Dybantsa. That wasn't an option. Now the rules are totally different. So why would Mike Smith's performance in the NBA have anything to do with with Richie Saunders?
I do think BYU is trying to change that reputation as far as having NBA guys, hence going and investing in Yegor Gelman and then going out and getting AJ Dybantsa. They're going to have back-to-back lottery picks for the first time, in my understanding, in their history.
So they went and got a great player? I mean, I don't think of course they wanted Yegor Gelman because they had a connect in Russia that had an NBA guy, which NBA guy just means really great player.
I'm with you. No, I am totally with you on that front, that on its face by itself, an NBA player doesn't link to the next NBA player, but there are people who do want to build that recognition. There are people who want to build that reputation. I mean, that is what Kentucky wanted. What John Calipari would sell was, if you come play for me, you will go to the NBA. And he was right. Trey Lyles went to the NBA because he went to Kentucky. He would not have been an NBA player, at least not a lottery pick, most likely, had he gone to VCU or something like that.
But, okay, ignore the...
Like that?
Ignore the Wizard of Oz facade that is John Calipari, who's just a huge phony. That didn't exist. He was selling his message. He was selling his thing. My value in this whole thing is I will get you ready for the NBA. You didn't have anything to do with, I shouldn't say anything.
Sure.
But you're recruit, like Nerlens Noel was going to go to the NBA.
You're proving exactly my point. You're proving exactly my point, which was AJ was an NBA player before he ever stepped on the floor at BYU. So how do we actually reflect on his time? Because being a top 3 pick is not necessarily a reflection of what BYU did to AJ.
I totally agree.
In the slightest. So that's what I'm curious about. When I'm saying how are we going to remember him versus a player like Richie Saunders, which is just a terrible example now because he tore up his knee and we don't know what his future looks like. But Richie was headed towards an NBA future because of his development at BYU over 2 different coaches. And I think it was going to be celebrated as like a great success. I'm curious how AJ is owned by BYU.
The same way Utah owns Tom Chambers.
Okay.
Do you have any idea how successful Tom Chambers was at Utah?
No, or
neither do I.
Expected to be
but
before he got there.
Every Ute fan was watching the Phoenix Suns in the 90s and goes, oh, that Tom Chambers went to Utah. Honestly, unless he goes to the Final Four, wins a title, like who is that heavy-set point guard for UConn? Khalid Al-Amin, remember that guy? That guy went nowhere fast. That guy is still a legend at UConn, above a bunch of NBA guys at UConn, because winning at that level is a different level. Mike Doliak is never buying lunch on at the Marriott Park Hotel up there. You know what I mean? That's a different conversation.
It is.
But if you're saying he gets the Sweet 16 or worse, he'll be remembered like that. He'll go to the NBA, have success, and every BYU fan will go, that's a Cougar right there.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think that's really interesting. We've never had a player in our state like AJ Dybantsa. Kentucky is so used to players of that ilk. They are so used to players who are NBA players before they ever step on the floor, and they're expected to be the number 1 overall pick. Anthony Davis didn't have to do anything. John Wall maybe a little bit, but their run of number 1 overall picks is just part of their reputation. So how do we look at BYU historically and AJ Dybantsa historically? Because even with Utah, that's never been the case. Utah has never had an NBA guy, and I will say in my lifetime, so this goes back to 1986, or let's start from the Final 4 years and on, that we knew was an NBA player the day they got there. That was not the case for Keith Van Horn or Alex Jensen or Hanno Metalano, didn't play a whole lot, or Mike Doliak or Andrew Bogut or Jakob Poeltl or DeLon Wright or Kyle Kuzma. I mean, those guys were not NBA players when they committed to Utah. And the same can be said for BYU, maybe with the exception of Sean Bradley, where everybody knew he was going to be an NBA player. Nobody knew Jimmer was going to be an NBA guy. Nobody knew Hafa Arujo was going to be an NBA guy. Everybody knew AJ was going to be an NBA player. So what type of credit does BYU feel for it? Not get for it, but feel for it. I'll be curious how he's viewed.
Well, they're going to sell their program.
Yeah, absolutely.
The same way Kentucky did. But it doesn't make it real.
No, it's real.
Especially in basketball.
Yeah, I'm with you. You're totally right on the Wizard of Oz thing. The Wizard of Oz thing is 100% legit. It's the all-knowing head that just says things that aren't true. There's no real backing to it. That's 100%, 90% of sports. 100%, 90%. That's 90% of sports in general, is people saying things and taking credit for things that, hey, Strawberry, go hit that home run. Like, that's exactly what we're talking about. Hey, Dybantsa, go average 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Like that, yeah, of course, that's part of it. His success was cemented before he got to BYU. Now what can he do to actually elevate it or change the conversation?
Here's how they get the next AJ Dybantsa. They call the alarm guy or whoever the big billionaire donor is who's up next, and you say, go get me a player.
Uh-huh.
It has nothing to do with AJ Dybantsa's success. In fact, and man, I don't mean to, but Yegor Dioman's success in the NBA is actually because he's doing the opposite of what he did at BYU.
It's kind of funny. He has credited a lot for playing at BYU. He has talked about it a lot, but he is doing the exact opposite with the Nets than he did at BYU.
Which was absolutely true about Kyle Kuzma. And I had this opinion back when he went to the league that he was being misused by Larry Kraskowiak, and that was true.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm sure Larry to this day will go, I developed that guy. Did you?
Yeah, right.
So I don't buy into any of that. Football might be a little different because you have to wait 3 years. Basketball, I mean, go back to when they were taking teenagers and guys right out of high school. I mean, they identified these guys early. Kevin Garnett was going to be an all-star NBA player, whether he went to college or not. Yeah. And sometimes that doesn't mean that they always get it right. You know, there were plenty of high school players that were taken that were complete busts and were drummed out of basketball in a sense. And that's why they changed to the 1-year rule to begin with. Yeah. Was because of that. But it doesn't mean that Kentucky developed all those one-and-done guys. They just were smart enough to buy the best players. Period. End of story. And BYU can do that going forward, apparently. Especially now that the guy who said we will
not be outbid.
No. But the guy who pushed back against that, the one who said, no, it means more, and then tried to stuff that back in the bottle. Isn't he now an apostle, I believe?
Is he?
So maybe that voice in the room is not there anymore, and they can just outbid it.
They outbid everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they were doing anyways.
So maybe and I mean this totally in jest, the naming of the apostle was actually a basketball strategy.
Get him out of the way. We got to get him out of the room.
He's pushing back too much. We've got a big advantage here. We got to play this thing. Again, totally in jest. But that's how BYU gets the next NBA player.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's not because of what AJ does on the floor.
Nor Jaeger, Dioman, no any of that. Because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So next time John Calipari tells you that I've got the secret sauce, just kind of laugh and say, okay, pal. All right. More next. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I want to remind you of our friends at University of Utah Health. The University of Utah Health, hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uvuhealth.org. It is time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by our friends at J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, our guy Ben Anderson has an article up on KSLSports.com. How will the Jazz handle their rotation to close the season?
This was a mailbag question I got yesterday on my podcast, and it's an interesting one. Now, Jaren Jackson Jr. not being out there makes it a lot easier. You know, essentially the Jazz have the same rotation that they had now pre-trade deadline, but instead of Kyle Anderson and Walt Clayton, they have Vince Williams Jr. and they have John Conchar, who are better players than Walt Clayton and Kyle Anderson were, but you don't have to play them. You know, they are deep rotation players that never have to see the floor if you don't want them to.
I guess that's an impossible question to answer because how much are they going to be allowed to get away with?
That's the huge question. And
I mean, could they shut Lowry down tomorrow? Because they should do that. And they should probably shut Keontae down tomorrow if they can.
They can.
And they probably should just take whatever roster JP's calling it for the Stars and then just put that as their roster. But I don't know if they're going to be allowed to get away with that, honestly. So how do you answer that question?
We may not know until the first week of the second half of the season, starting post-All-Star break, if the NBA continues to dole out fines or if they were showing that, hey, this was just a flash in the pan. We're going to fine a couple of teams just to make a show before the All-Star break. So when I get asked about it, I can say, look, I fined teams $600,000 total, and then they move on business as usual.
Because for really 2 seasons now, the Jazz have used multiple different strategies to get cute with it and have now been fined for those strategies multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, they were just making up stuff and sitting out players. And then they were like, well, that's not a good look, so you should just dress them and not play them. And then they did that and got fined. So what are they going to be allowed to, like, what cute strategy are they going to be able to employ to do that? Or are they going to be arm twisted into playing all of their guys? It could be anywhere in between. Does Adam Silver go back into his crypt and stop paying attention to the Jazz rotations?
Sunlight.
You know what I mean?
I absolutely do. No,
So
that's what the
are they
entire
allowed
mailbag
to?
was. Yeah.
Now they're being forced to play their player. Like, D-League, think about this. D-League is interfering with the coach's rotations.
Uh-huh.
I believe you quite literally have written about that too.
Yes.
Adam Silver said as much, like in his rambling non-answer, he said he is going to be watching closely. So does that mean he is watching with a stopwatch the Jazz dang rotations? Because if that's the case, what are they going to do? Tell Lowry to go out there and loaf it? I don't know.
So my first thought was you're probably not going to see a whole lot of Yusuf Nurkic on the floor. And that's not because Yusuf Nurkic is prime Shaquille O'Neal, but I do think right now he probably makes it more likely that you win a game than Kyle Filipowski.
Ben, the Jazz right now have how many wins? Let me bring this up just to make sure
18,
I'm
I
accurate.
think.
18 wins.
Yeah.
The Jazz can only win like 4 more games.
4 or 5 more games.
That's it. So simply benching Yusuf Nurkic
No, by itself is not enough.
I mean, so how cute are they going to, because they have to go to drastic circumstances to only win 3 or 4 more games for the rest of the season. I mean, we could go through the schedule. There's all sorts of dog teams trying to lose at the end of the season. Who knows who's trying to win and who's trying to lose because they're moving around for playoff position. Like, you're going to accidentally win 6 games, 7 games, unless you go to
Really drastic measures.
circumstances. So what are they going to be allowed to get away with? So we can get into the, well, Yusuf Nurkic goes down to 18 minutes instead of whatever he's but that's not going to do it. They can't have Lowry play games. They can't have Keontae George play games. What are they going to get? What are they going to be allowed with? They tried playing Lowry 3 quarters. They tried. I mean,
I think that's the next step. I think Nurk is going to play very little, if at all, in all honesty. And then you're going to have Lowry Markkanen, his last 5 games, he's been under 27 minutes a game. He's going to be playing that, but they're going to spread it out. They're going to do 4 6-minute stretches for him. You know, the first 6 minutes of the game, maybe the last 6 minutes of the first half, the first 6 minutes of the third quarter, and the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. That would be my guess. That's as much as you're going to see Lowry, meaning they basically do what they did against Miami and Orlando, giving him a full 12 minutes off, but instead of it being the fourth quarter, it'll be the middle of the third to the middle of the fourth. And the Jazz have to hope that in that stretch, Oscar Tshiebwe, Kyle Filipowski, Blake Hinson, who are going to be on the floor a lot, have built an 18-point deficit that Lowry cannot overcome by being on the floor for the final 6 minutes of the game. And then the next step is probably to bench Keontae. As crazy as that sounds, that's probably what you're going to see. You're going to see fewer and fewer minutes from Keontae George, who is dealing with a pair of ankle injuries, but he doesn't have to play. He is not bound to the player participation policy because he's not a former All-Star, so I don't think you're going to see a lot of him either. And that's going to be the stretch. And then you have to hope that Isaiah Collier isn't good enough to beat the New Orleans Pelicans 2 out of 3 times. And Memphis twice. You know, you have to hope that the roster you put out there is not going to win games. And I will say this, historically, over the last 3 seasons, when Will Hardy has needed to lose games, the Jazz have figured out how to lose games. And I shouldn't pin that on Will Hardy. That's not fair to a coach. But when the Jazz have wanted to tank post trade deadline, especially the first 2 years, 2022-23 and 23-24, the Jazz found a way to do it.
Did you see the news today that Kyrie Irving is out for the rest of the year?
Kyrie's done for the year.
Why isn't Adam Silver forcing Kyrie Irving to get back from injury? Why isn't he looking at his watch and go, hey, I've seen people come back from injury faster than that, so why are you shutting it down for the rest of the year? Like, they've created such a mess for themselves, and the Jazz, unfortunately, are right at the epicenter of it because other teams are allowed to boot games harder, and somehow they're under the microscope. Listen to the, and I'm not coming at you, Ben, but listen to the hairs you just had to split.
Yeah, absolutely.
To justify. Listen to the cute game you just created in your brain as a way to figure out how the Jazz can be bad enough by fitting into these parameters. But the problem is those parameters don't exist.
It's all fake.
It's all as soon as Lowry doesn't finish a game, Adam Silver apparently could come out and find him.
Ivica
And
Zubac.
justify it by going, well, he's your best player. Why isn't he on the floor at the end of the game?
Ivica Zubac, who has a real argument with Pascal Siakam to be the best player on the Indiana Pacers, played 15 out of 16 games with the Clippers before the trade deadline. 15 out of 16. Obviously available. Now, he's not an all-star, so he does not he's not bound by the player participation policy either, but gets traded to the Pacers, has an ankle injury, goes over the all-star break. They returned to practice yesterday. Rick Carlisle's asked about it, and he says, looks like he's going to be out for a while. They just say, of course, he's lying. Again, this is the problem with the NBA. I know it when I see it. Here it is, Adam.
Here it is.
Here it is,
well,
Commissioner. Here it is. Here's the tanking. This is bad. This is conduct detrimental to the NBA. Are you going to actually enforce it evenly? And the answer is, of course they're not. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to pick on the Jazz specifically as much as they just wanted to prove a point, and the Jazz were right there and ripe for the taking. But if you're going to say, I know it when I see it, you're lying because we all see it.
So was everybody else. And, Ben, the thing is, they weren't fined the second time for the player participation policy,
Correct.
which is the dumbest thing ever to begin with. They weren't fined for that.
Right.
Lowry played.
Right.
He played.
Exactly right. So
They were fined for an arbitrary non-violation of the rules just because Adam Silver had heartburn that day?
Didn't like the bad press. Yep. Didn't like the bad press that Bobby Marks and Brian Windhorst ran with.
To try and split the hairs by, play him this time and that time and this time is futile.
You're right.
It's
I'm applying more nuance than anybody else is.
You, and I like this about you, you believe in justice. You believe that this is about justice. You believe, and I tend to believe this too. It's why I get so mad when you bend the rules and What You Got Wednesday is because does nobody respect the rules anymore? But this isn't about rules. They don't care.
You're right. It's arbitrary.
Totally arbitrary.
Yeah.
So who's to say what you can and can't do?
Yeah, that's fair.
Crazy. Next.
Number 2, Team USA Hockey taking Sweden in the quarterfinal round today here in a few hours.
And they are trying to figure out if Canada is going to make it out of this round. Right now they are playing Czechia, and it's still tied 2-2 midway through the third period. So this one's coming down to the wire. Did I see Sidney Crosby limping off the ice earlier? He left the game. Now, Sidney is not their best player anymore, but he is still obviously a huge, huge piece of their roster. So Canada already a little bit shorthanded in a close game late here, but this would be a pretty monumental upset if this wraps up. But yeah, Sweden's good. Sweden's always a good hockey team, especially at the international level. Well, that's where they play. That's why they're Team Sweden. We'll see how they compete tonight.
Whatever. I hope they all lose.
All of them, the Swedes and the U.S.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm rooting against everybody.
Who are you rooting for? Italy?
Nobody.
I think they're out.
I'm sitting here with a fractured arm, Christian. I'm not rooting
Germany
for
lost. J.J. Paterka's out today. They got eliminated.
I'm not rooting for anyone's success.
I am of Swedish heritage. I'm also of American heritage, U.S. heritage. So I would prefer the U.S. win today. But if Sweden wins, that will be my dog the rest of the way. He'll be my.
You're also Canadian.
I don't have any Canadian in me. I've adopted that. Yeah.
What is your policy? And I'm actually curious about this. For the what do they call the Russian athletes now? Like
AIN, something like that. What is it?
Something.
I've seen their flag. Yeah.
They're because the Russians aren't allowed to compete, but as a team, but their athletes are. Like how does this make any sense to anyone?
AIN, independent neutral athletes. I know that's not what AIN says, but that's athletes.
But they're just Russian athletes because of doping. The Russian team.
Is that what it is?
Banned.
The federation. Oh, it's not because of Putin's politics in the world globally?
No, it's all doping. We'll have to watch that.
Yeah, I've seen Icarus. Right? That's
the
documentary. Okay, I thought it was about their.
I don't think
recent
so.
global
No,
decisions.
I think it's about doping.
Well, then if it was about that they have a leader who is out of favor in the world right now, I would have sympathy for the athletes because that's not their fault. You know, you were born in the country you're born in. If it's about historically the federation has cheated and they're punishing the athletes there, I would have more respect.
Like, do you?
So I'm maybe a little less into the AIN athletes at the moment.
Like, do you think that figure skater pulled the needle out of her arm because all of a sudden the graphic is different on NBC?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That just didn't make sense to me.
I think that's totally fair. I didn't even put that together. So
Next.
Thank you.
Number 3, BYU set for a big rematch tonight at Arizona.
Yep. Any win against a ranked opponent right now would be huge for BYU, and we will see how they carry over a little bit after beating Baylor and then Colorado in back-to-back games. Colorado was very tough. That was a tough game because they lost Richie Saunders, but I do think it's a different conversation. The team that beat Baylor is no longer the team BYU puts on the floor. So,
are they going to guard? I mean, honestly, if the reason BYU lost before Richie Saunders got hurt is because they don't guard anybody.
Now, Richie doesn't guard. So if somebody else can guard, maybe that will not help them, not be better, but maybe they will play a little better defense.
If you want to ask me how, honestly, we have to boil it down to something of how BYU possibly goes on as a basketball program without Richie Saunders, it's you guard.
Yeah.
If the team scores 15 fewer points that night, then you have a better chance to win without somebody that scores 15 points.
Well, the tool is somebody replaces Richie Saunders who plays better defense, and then AJ decides to start carrying on that end of the floor. And I'm actually not going to hold his lackadaisical effort on defense through the first 3 months of the season or 4 months of the season. I'm not going to say I'm not going to hold it against him, but I'm not going to say that means he can't play defense the rest of the year because, again, we see a lot of bad NBA players who don't play any defense during the regular season, and then suddenly you get to the playoffs and it's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know Tyrese Halliburton actually could play defense or Bojan Bogdanovic actually cared about defense. Well, they don't for 80 games a year, but in the playoffs it matters, and so they try. So we'll see if AJ starts to lock up a little bit more.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. Mitch Harper, top of the 11 o'clock hour. We'll talk to him more about this matchup. It's all straight ahead, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ben, my Ice Warriors of the Czech Republic just scored.
The Czech Republic, or the Czechia Dreamcoats, are up 3-2.
I'm sticking with Czech Republic. If I can go either way, I just heard about this Czechia thing yesterday.
Yeah.
I think this may be a fad. I'm sticking with the Czech Republic.
Okay.
Like when people tried to tell me Qatar was pronounced Qatar, and then I watched the World Cup, and the people from Qatar themselves are pronouncing it Qatar. I'm sticking
with it.
I'm sticking with Czech Republic.
That's a good idea.
I think Czechia is just people messing with me.
All right.
But anyway, they're up 1.
3-2, 7 minutes left, but Canada is now going to be absolutely on fire for the next 7 minutes. So we'll see what it looks like.
I'm glad you said absolutely and not literally, because nobody is aflame.
No, they're not. Hopefully.
It's ice hockey.
It's ice hockey.
Nobody has combusted out
We should
there
have more
yet.
fire in our sports. Not enough fire just in kind of casual sports.
Like what sport would you like to introduce this element to? Golf? Like there's a forest fire and you still have to play?
Yeah, exactly right. That's probably the one
That's
you
the
have
plot of Happy Gilmore 2, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
The worst movie ever made?
Like, we got rid of the sand trap. There's just fires all over now.
I think
we do a lot with water and ice here.
I think I'd just take the penalty. I mean,
Out of bounds.
just take the stroke. Not going in there after it. No thanks. How would you do it to basketball? Set the ball on fire?
Well, there was that
Because
moment
Kevin
earlier-
Durant would still hog it. Yeah.
There's that moment earlier this year where the fireworks above the Jazz's basket kept going off throughout the second quarter. That was really funny. That was the best moment of the year by far for me, and maybe in some time.
Did you guys see the popcorn cart catch fire it was Georgia basketball?
No.
Like one of the popcorn carts in the concession stand just went up in flames.
Known to kill.
Okay, what went up in flames, or
No,
like
look it
it just started smoking or
No,
something?
it was like in flames. I think they stopped the game for a little bit. It was last week. It was really recent.
Can you imagine? Why'd you get fired from your last job? Oh, I was running a popcorn cart and burned it right to the ground.
Lit it on fire.
They had to stop the game.
Oh, you're right. That is a real fire. It's like a real oil fire. They spilled oil in the bottom of the heater or whatever it is. And
Don't put water on it.
yeah, don't put water on it. You got to suffocate that thing.
So you think a popcorn cart would come equipped with a fire extinguisher? No.
You would hope so.
Or
Yeah,
at
that's
least
pretty
there
good.
would be a fire extinguisher handy somewhere in a basketball stadium.
This was in Oklahoma, but it was against Georgia.
Way to
Apologies
go.
the good people of Georgia.
Way to go. One
the
one
clowns in
popcorn
Oklahoma.
cart down.
Yeah.
All right. It is Wednesday. That means a Win Ticket Wednesday. And this is a big one this week. I mean, every week's great. But be caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE, and you can win a pair of tickets to go see Post Malone with special guests Jelly Roll and Carter Faith at Rice-Eccles Stadium July 28th. Tickets on sale at livenation.com. 801-575-ZONE. Is Jelly Roll the one who's quite thin now?
He is. He's lost a lot of weight.
You know what? I think if you become famous being heavy, you just should be forced to stay that way.
Should he wear a fat suit?
I don't know, but now it just...
Should he go Shallow Hal's route?
It just kind of looks weird. I mean, I'm sure healthier, and it's better in a variety of ways, but I don't know.
I'm with you.
Like if John Candy were thin,
Yeah. Skinny Candy.
it's
Kinda your thing.
just kind of not the same
Now
guy.
he killed
Yeah.
John. So
Right, which I'm saying it's better. I don't know how you would enforce this, but it is strange. Like Fat Joe, not so fat anymore. Now he just looks weird.
but we let people go the other direction.
Like skinny people who become heavy? Like who?
Marlon Brando.
Maybe the exception that proves the rule.
Orson Welles got pretty heavy late in his life, right?
Yeah, nobody ever heard of him after that one movie.
Citizen Kane.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I mean, I want someone to get like big.
Like Jim Morrison was kind of fat at the end of his life,
No,
but that was
I don't
more
mean
sad.
like he looks. I want somebody who's like $4 bills. You know, I want somebody who goes big.
Like,
Like,
tell me
I'm adopting the identity of the heavy guy now.
tell me that Jonah Hill doesn't look weird.
He's gone weird. His whole thing is weird. So yeah.
I mean, that dude looks weird. Mm-hmm. I mean, Meghan Trainor wrote a song called "All About That Bass." Now
And she's not
very
talking
thin.
about bass lines.
No,
Okay.
in fact, she called them skinny B words,
Yeah. I know.
and now she's quite thin.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ben. I mean, you're crazy thin.
You know what? We let a lot of NBA players put on weight post career, which is funny. A lot of football players get a lot thinner.
Do we let them?
Well, they do it. You know, no one's policing it.
And then everybody clowns Charles Barkley every time he's on TV.
That's right. You're right.
And to shame him into being an Ozempic guy now.
Is he an Ozempic guy?
I think so.
That would make sense. All right.
Oh, we shamed Oprah?
Yes, we did. Wrongly.
That's what I'm getting at. Although they should be forced to stay in the manner in which they got famous, like Kiss.
Okay.
Always has to wear the
your
makeup.
stamp on the world. You stay there.
Yeah, you have to. Frozen in time right there.
Okay.
All right, stay
Possible
tuned.
standard.
Mitch Harper is going to join us next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.